Wow, good morning. What a difference it makes when the sun comes out. Yeah, lovely, isn't it? Nice and bright. And, well, it's Monday morning, so that's unusual for it to be nice. And, well, I'm going to go out in my car today. Sarah's got to go into work for a couple of hours this morning. I'm not sure what she's doing, training or something. But yeah, she had to leave at early hours. Yeah, she got up at the crack of 7:30, which is quite a 2-hour lay-in for Sarah on a work day. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go drive my car. Isn't it exciting? Yeah, I wanted to share a little story with you guys. One of my other followers, I'm sure they'll chip in, used to have a flat that was compulsory purchased to make way for a car park. Well, I was in the same boat. Before I moved to Hull, my flat was in the process of being compulsory purchased. It was a privately owned housing estate, ex-military housing in Gosport, opposite HMS Sultan. Some of my followers may know Gosport. So yeah, I was only a mile between half a mile and a mile from the seafront. If I walked straight through the Kingfisher Caravan Park, there was a tiny little stream that ran through, and there was a footpath next to the caravan park, so you could walk right through. That cut off a great chunk of road. So walking down to the seafront, it didn't take a lot of effort, and it was really pleasant as well. I love the south coast, Gosport, Lee-on-Solent, Stokes Bay, all around that way. Titchfield Haven is particularly nice. Well, anyway, this private housing estate was eventually sold off to the council. They didn't make that well known to most of the people that were living there, but the leasehold, or the freehold, was sold to the council, and so although it's still privately owned by the residents who bought the leasehold, I think it was a 99-year lease. And I still had 78 years to go on my lease. Anyway, what the council did, because they knew they were going to demolish it and make way for a supermarket, what the council did was, over the years towards the build-up of compulsory purchase, what they did was they put in a load of low-quality people, should I say. Not judging, but these are people who, leave their old washing machines out on the pavement rather than taking it down to the tip, which was literally a stone's throw from my house, was a amenity tip. Yeah, and so it was this type of person that would leave their broken down vehicle in the car park with the wheels missing and things like this, and of course they would turn their gardens into a scrap heap, and it didn't look very nice. So they brought the valuation of the place down. Then they took out the renters and boarded these houses up as if there was nobody that wanted to live there, which was untrue, because they were going to put new houses up on the estate anyway. Once all the flats had been pulled down and the Tesco's car park had been built and the whatnot, they were going to surround the whole place with luxury flats. So anyway, so what they did was they boarded up the house next door to me on one side, and then they boarded up the house next door to me on the other side. So when the compulsory purchase was announced, the valuer came down and knocked on my door and said, "Oh, I can't possibly value this place at any reasonable price because there's no demand for housing in this area." He said, "Just look at your neighbours. They're all boarded up." So the house that I paid £30,000 for, I was offered £29,000 for 21 years later. So after paying the mortgage for 21 years on a property, it was now worth less than I'd paid for it. Now, we had an independent, because I was part of the housing association, we had an independent valuer come down and have a look and value the properties. Because some of the properties, it went round in an S-shaped, circular type of mirandering way, and each corner went up another level. So eventually there was 7 floors to the other side of the building where I was from. I was on the first floor. Up to the second floor. My front door was on the first floor. Yeah, this independent valuer came round and he valued the houses at £80,000 if you ignored the dumped cars in the car park and the washing machines dumped on the pavement and the scrap metal in the gardens. He said if you ignored all that and brought it back up, up to spec, you could reasonably expect £80,000 for this. So we, as you can imagine, we're all a bit peeved, being offered 29,000 when it should have been 80,000. So anyway, eventually it got to a point where the date was announced for the the time of it being kicked out. And of course, I was going back to sea. I worked for Maersk at the time, and I had to go out and join a ship out in the Far East. So I had 5 days notice before I went to sea to empty my house. I had 2 days in which to pack everything. Then the movers came on the 3rd day. On the 4th day, they took everything up to where I am now, up in Hull. And so I had to leave Sarah with a house full of cardboard boxes. And I went off to sea. Anyway, the council took over 4 years in which to pay the money. We took them to court and to make them pay a reasonable price. Anyway, we managed to get £34,000 for my little flat in the end. So yeah, paying the mortgage for 25 years earned me a few £1,000s. Now, of course, that's all gone now. It actually went on new furniture, but I didn't have time to get rid of everything. I had to leave the bed and mattress. I had left all the carpets. I left all the bathroom fittings, the mirrors and stuff, all the light fittings. Some of them were quite new because I wasn't aware of this compulsory purchase order. Not until about a year before the planned date, because the council like to keep things to themselves. They don't tell you what's going on. Yeah, and it was quite an upsetting time because I know a lot of people were really upset. One young family were told that if they signed over their house to the council, they would be put up in a council house. So moving day came along. They still hadn't been given a place to move into. So this young family, husband and his wife and 2 young kiddies, were turfed out on the street. And he said to the council, "Where is this house that you promised me?" And they said, "Oh, no, you have to find one yourself. We won't find you a house." So they put them up in emergency accommodation, which was a one-room flat for 4 of them. So he was particularly annoyed with that. We had a disabled woman. She was on our residents association, and she was fighting tooth and nail for her flat to get because she lived in on the 5th floor, I think it was. She had to have a lift to go to her house. Of course, when the owner burnt the lift down, which we believe to be deliberately burnt down to get the insurance money, Yeah, she couldn't live in her house, so she had to rent a house with her and her husband until the flat was sold. And of course the stress dealing with the council caused her to pass away before her time, which was really sad. But then the husband, devastated without his wife, he committed suicide soon after. So that's 2 people. Then there was another elderly couple I know. He was also on the housing association, or residents association, and he died of a heart attack. So yeah, that wasn't nice. Probably due to the stress. And then the 4th person that I know who died was an old gent, pensioners, probably in his 60s, 70s, something like that. He didn't want to move either because he quite liked living on the south coast, and all his money was tied up in this house that he was going to get no return on. And so as they were pulling the building down, he lived on the ground floor. So as they were pulling the building down, pulled the walls down, they discovered him in his bed still. He died in his bed. I don't know how long, but they hadn't been into the house to see what was going on. They just pulled it down around him while he was laying dead in his bed. Very disgraceful. Well, that's Gosport Council for you. Yeah, and I know several other people were really, really disappointed. And for myself, I was. I still get nightmares. I still wake up thinking I'm living in that house because it was lovely. It had a nice south-facing living room, and the sun used to come in, and it was a proper sun trap. Yeah, I love that little flat, light and airy, and of course there was the seafront, real close. Anyway, but I'm happy now. I've got Sarah. Sarah was my guardian angel. She was the one that said, when I was faced with being homeless, she said, "Why don't you come and live up here?" So we did. I did, and haven't looked back ever since. Yes, I miss the south coast terribly, but I'm building memories here now. Yeah, I'll get out on the bike. I know the routes. As I'm getting out on the bike more, I'm discovering more and more routes. These backcountry lanes where there's virtually no traffic. You might get the odd farmer in his tractor, but that's not a bother. Yeah, and okay, we don't. It's quite a warm place, really. Hull. It has its own microclimate. It's about as warm, or if not warmer than Gosport, where I used to live. Because when I was communicating with Sarah up here and I was down south, on my computer screen, I had the weather for Hull and the weather for Portsmouth and Portchester, and it was almost identical. Sometimes Hull would be 2 or 3 degrees warmer than Portsmouth, Portchester. Don't know why, but it just was. Yeah. But anyway, that's today's little story. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going to the garden centre. Not going to buy anything, of course. I'm just going to look. It'll be nice to see all the plants. Sarah has a relative who's in the landscaping. He's a landscaper. Now he's the one that says, you should be planting the flowers that are on display in the garden centres because they sell them for that time of year. But so yeah, it'll be nice to see what they look like. No doubt they'll have more of the cyclamens and the pansies like we have, and of course they'll have lots of. I don't know if it's too late for daffodils now, but our daffodils are coming up through the pots here, and just in the front here, and we've got some over there that are coming up. So that'll be nice to see, and yeah. It's things are beginning to sprout. We've got some. Last year I bought some goji berries. Now they have started to sprout. Nice green shoots. And at the bottom of the garden, I have a fig tree and a blueberry bush. So we'll see what happens this year. Whether we'll get some more blueberries, and maybe the fig tree will give us a fig. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yes, round the garden You know, after I do the morning poo patrol. Yeah, 'cause I've got a dog. The strawberries, they don't like it. They don't like it in pots. They come out of the pots and they spread all amongst the pots in the soil. So that's probably the only thing I can grow here in Hull is strawberries. Things I didn't want growing in the ground are actually doing really rather well. And in the garden over that side, against the fence, we do have some snowdrops they're a bit late coming up this year. They're the tall variety. Like I said the other day, the snowdrops. There's about 2,500 varieties worldwide of snowdrops. Absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? How these things have grown into so many different identifiable species. But in the UK, there's about 10, I think, 10 different species of bluebell. Anyway, I've rambled on and ranted away. So yeah, you go and have a good Monday. And I am going to sneak my little camera. I've got my little Insta 360 Go 2 camera that I bought for the holiday last year, and so I'm going to sneak that in and try and get some pictures of some flowers at the garden centre. Hopefully they'll come out good, and I'll post them all on YouTube for you guys. Yeah, I know some of you do like to see my flowers. Or my videos of real life. Anyway, yeah, okay, so I'm going to run off and process this, and I'll speak to you all later. Okay, bye.